Layla was 23, I was 26, and she saw me lose everything twice. And that was before we got married. The person you marry marries two people, the person you are and the person you want to become. Just make sure they love both of those people. Because they're going to be the one who's either going to prevent that from happening or they're going to be the one who's a rocket pack for you. If you find someone that makes your world go round and makes the world make sense to you, where you both look at the same thing and say, oh, you saw that too? Like, I feel like I was the only one. I think that for high achieving individuals, finding someone who sees the world the same way is incredibly rare.
Modern women see Layla and think, I'll wait to establish myself in my career before I date or get married or have kids. But they forget, we got married when she was 23, and we built this together. Love is one of the rare times you don't do life in order, but rather all at once.
If you find someone that makes your world go round and makes the world make sense to you, where you both look at the same thing and say, oh, you saw that too? Like, I feel like I was the only one. I think that for high achieving individuals, finding someone who sees the world the same way is incredibly rare. And when you find that person, you should stop what you're doing and then you should get them to stay with you. And it's been, one of the best decisions of my entire life, marrying Layla. And there's this, especially unfortunately for women right now, there's this huge, put it off, delay, there's no rush, but it doesn't actually take into consideration two things. One is that biology hasn't advanced with culture and society. You can't have kids past, 35. I mean, you can, but you're a geriatric, it's a geriatric pregnancy past 35.
Ruthless time.
Yeah, I'm just being real, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I this is like super prevalent, and I know this is a much more common theme on the show, and I don't touch it very much, but I just say it more like, because I think it sucks.
It's unfair.
It's not. Yeah, it's like, objectively, it's not fair. Guys can wait their whole lives. They can do everything, and you have to. If you go to college, graduate college at 21 or 22, and if you want to have 4 kids, assuming that you have perfect pregnancies and you have exactly 1 year, or 18 months between each one, okay, that's 6 years by the time you're done. And so if we rule out geriatric pregnancies are last, then it means that we have to basically you have to have your first kid at 29. Well, okay, maybe it'll take, let's just tack 1 year on of marriage to have the kid and be married. Okay, 28, you're married. All right, do you want to marry somebody within 6 months of meeting them? Let's give it 2 years to give our logical, brain in. Okay, so 26. You graduate at 22. You have 48 months. And I think that, again, this is if you don't want kids, then all of this is null. If you do, then you have a very small window to piece that together. Now, of course, there's surrogates, and maybe in the future, like I'll say in general, betting on I'll smoke cigarettes now because by the time I'm old, they'll have a cure for it. I don't know. I don't make those bets. And so
it's easier to work with reality the way it is, not the way you hope it's going to end up landing.
Yeah, to knowingly incur basically a guaranteed price for the potential of maybe a non-existent solution is probably not the best decision-making process. And to be clear, I say this, Layla and I, we don't have kids. She's not 35. But I think that we have these unrealistic expectations that someone is going to make our lives, that they're going to complete us in some way. When I think that for me, the best thing that a partner can do is help you be the best version of yourself. And that may mean that you also have other friends who fulfill other needs for you. I remember a mentor of mine, he had a wife that, well, most people have wives that are not involved in their business. I'm more the exception there. But his wife wasn't involved at all in the business, and they had a very happy marriage. And he said, and I said, do you ever wish you could talk shop with, your wife? And he said, God, no. And I was like, why not? He said, that's what I got you for. And it was just such
my business wife.
Yeah, it was just such a flippant, like offhanded answer that I was like, there was actually a lot of wisdom in that. And he's like, I don't need her to do that. He's like, I need her to do this. And he's like, and I've got you and Kevin to do these things with. And he's like, and when I want to do like church stuff, I go to these people. And so, and I think a lot of that is because we've become increasingly remote. People live together in close quarters for extended period of time. And so it's like our exposure, our surface area with one another is gone so far up compared to how the vast majority of kind of relationships were, call it even 50 years ago. Like you didn't spend nearly as much time with your spouse. And so it was more normal to have different people or different parts of your life that were, or needs being fulfilled by many people, and only the ones that are confined by the laws of marriage being delivered on that. Now, if you get somebody who can tick 2 of those boxes or 3 of those boxes, amazing. Mm-hmm. But I think the idea, because I tend to reject the idea of soulmate, and I think that people have this fallacy of the perfect pick. Like I have to pick this person perfectly, when there's also the Buddhist perspective, which you and I have both, spoken length off camera about, which is like suffering is going to be a constant. And this person will, like, we get to choose how we want this to go. And so I think that if you take off the societal pressure of a perfect partner and think, does this person make me better? Will this person hold me back from my goals? If the answer to that is they will make me better, they will make it more likely that I do the things that I want to do, and we have no what I would consider non-negotiables. I want to have kids, they don't want to have kids. I want to travel, they never want to travel. If those things are good, I think part of the excitement of life is learning how to be married.
There's a cool idea Louise Perry taught me about, which is how people buy a lamp. So
okay,
if you were to move into a house completely unfurnished, finding the right lamp is super easy. Get any lamp and the house will fit around it. But if you've spent a decade and a half constructing the perfect house and all of the upholstery is chosen and the art's on the wall, there's this sort of sage effervescent candle over the far sides, even the smell. Trying to find a lamp that fits that perfectly curated house is really difficult. And it's a price that we don't like to talk about. I say this as somebody who's unmarried at 37, right? And has constructed a pretty elaborate, complex life. It's significantly more difficult to find a lamp that fits into a house that you've designed for a long time than it is to build a house around a lamp. And assuming that you want a lamp in your house, getting the order at least somewhat right may make it easier. Now, there are lots of great things about the fact that your house is more big and complex and you've had fun in building it and all the rest of this stuff. But it is a cost that we don't talk about, which is how much more difficult is it? What are some of the irreversible doors that you have of just being older and more ingrained in your habits? Mm-hmm. And this is the theory versus practice tension again of, well, if I find the right person, I can, it'll fit. And you go, yeah, dude, but your mind is not that of 21 or 25 or 30. Yeah. It's that of 35 or 40. Mm. And it's going to be harder for you to feel as satisfied with your choice. It's the difference between satisficing and maximizing. And the problem is, even if you're looking for satisficing, that bar begins to raise. Yeah, exactly. And how do you know that you're not kidding yourself into selling that short? We've seen, I was at Zach's wedding a couple of months ago. And this is such a universal truth of every wedding that I've ever been to. As soon as the ceremony is finished, all of the eyes of the older people turn onto the single people in the crowd. And they're like locked on like this, and they're coming over. Anybody that's not married, Christopher, when are we going to see, when are we going to be here? You can't, you must not. And so
can't wait forever.
Yeah, exactly. And it's vicious. It's like a heat-seeking missile from all of the older people that are there. And Zach's mum had had a lot to drink and was being super loud and came out with an absolute slammer of an insight where she was, so when do you think it's so and so forth? And I said, I can't wait to be a dad. I can't wait to have a family. I can't wait to do the thing. I feel like I've spent a lot of my life looking after me, and I'm starting to get sick of myself, and I'm looking forward to looking after somebody else. And she said, that's all well and good. Make sure that you fall in love with the girl not with the institution.
Hmm.
And you see this with women because they have tighter timelines again.
Yeah.
That as the nightclub lights are about to come on, the standards have to increasingly slip. And it's not entirely the same for men. But look, most relationships that are an age gap of 2 years-ish, I think the average is 1.5 years, older in the guy's direction. You can play around with this all that you want, but it's going to become increasingly difficult. If you're talking like over 10 years, like, okay, like how much are you going to have in common? Very different life stages. You can get a particularly youthful older person, or you can get a particularly mature younger person. But come on, like, it's going to be another challenge for you guys to get past. And make sure that you fall in love with the girl, not with the institution. Don't reverse engineer this situation out of somebody that isn't right for it. I think is a good insight.
I think there's a distinct advantage. To be clear, not that everyone needs this, but if you are a younger guy, the fear that you have is that you're not going to have the resources to attract, a super eligible bachelorette. But I think that there's really deep bonding that occurs in going through hardship together. Like and this isn't me saying my way's better, I promise, like, hopefully the end point of this whole podcast is like, Alex clearly has no idea. But Layla was 23, I was 26, and she saw me lose everything twice. And that was before we got married. And so I felt very confident that she liked me for me. And I think that what people don't talk about is the flip side of this, like playing it out, right? Let's play it out a couple steps. Is let's say you do have the nice place, you have the big bank account, you have whatever income stream, all the societal W's. You are not sure if she loves you or the institution of you.
Yep.
And is there a way to know? I don't know.
We can stress test it, but it's a high risk.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'm gonna purposefully bankrupt myself to see if this woman loves me.
Yeah. And so I, without being 1950s nostalgic, because we weren't there and it was probably not as good as people think it is now.
Right. Yep.
Find the person who allows you to be the most version of you. And I think that really comes down to it. And the most version of you, I think, is the highest potential version of you, the person who can lubricate the gap between who you are and who you want to be. I've said this before, but the person you marries two people, the person you are and the person you want to become. Just make sure they love both of those people. Because they're going to be the one who's either going to prevent that from happening or they're going to be the one who's a rocket pack for you. Like, what's really interesting is that there was like a super red pill podcast that reached out to Layla and wanted to interview her. And she turned down the request, but in the invite it said, you and Alex seem to have like the only like relationship where it's like modern relationship, but it seems like it's working because they're super, trad, conserve, whatever. And, Layla responded, we had a conversation basically about the invite. She didn't do it, but I think what a lot of people don't see publicly is that like Layla and I actually have an incredibly traditional relationship. In some ways, I just feel like Layla is the most extreme wife you could possibly find, which is that she just said, I will support my husband in every possible way to help him achieve what he wants.
Including becoming his business partner.
Yes. And that's what people don't get. Like, Layla has done everything for me. And that's the part that people can't see. And like, sure, she'll get girl boss and like whatever, that world wants to, but like, we have a very traditional relationship, and Layla is also a very strong woman. And I think that for the very strong women that are out there, this will probably be, chopped in a million pieces and put all over the internet. But I think you just need an even stronger man. And so, unfortunately, with like the pussification of society, especially men, and the flip side of like the more girl boss, etc., is that it's making it harder for those very confident, strong, achieving women to find men that they will let be men. And the real is that the guy that you will end up with, he will not accept you, quote, letting him be a man. He will be a man, and then you will fall into that world. You will fit within it. And I know that will probably, rub some people the wrong way, but that is my worldview. And Layla shares this worldview. And this is, again, not as public because you can't do it in Instagram sound bites. But Layla's life has been one of absolute service. And she just did everything she could to help me. And she still does to this day, to the point of pushing herself into health issues to help us win. And I think the sooner that you can get an ally that you can absolutely trust, we think about competence and we think about incentives, right? A wife is ideally, like recommendation to the younger guys, find a competent wife. Yeah. The incentives take care of themselves once you get married. And I will say that contrary to popular, pop culture, getting married makes you more money. So as much as Darwin said, this will cost me money, I will have less money for books. Getting married will make you more money. And I'll say even at the most basic level, because you're not spending a third of your mental effort chasing tail. You get
the sheer admin of dating in the modern world.
It's true though.
Yep.
And you go from a third of your time chasing tail with always trying to gauge people's intent and intentions and all this stuff to getting all of that back, plus another 3/3 of somebody else, provided you're aligned on where you want to go. And like, I would not be here without Layla, not just because she's been instrumental in everything that we've done business-wise, but she, above all else, created space. She allowed, and she was the first person in my life who just wanted me to be me. And like, even in the times when I was at a wedding and I was about to post something and Layla was with me and I was like, this is a little bit edgy. I was like, I don't want to piss people off. And she just looked at me and she was like, never dilute yourself. And it's like, somebody who wants you to be the most concentrated, potent, unshackled, unconstrained version of you. Like, she puts up with the fact that I wear the exact same thing every single day. I eat the same lunch every single day, I eat the same breakfast every single day. I talk about only one topic, which is business. And I do that unrelentingly and forever for every single conversation. And she has dealt with all of these things. And the perspective that I have on this is that, like, after the 2 years of all the serotonin hyperdump or norepinephrine and dopamine that you get from the love drug, what you'll have left is you and them. And if you do not fit into their idea of what they wanted you to be, then that is going to be a tough ride. And so I think the baseline is, I accept you for who you are, and I also accept the person that you want to become, and I'm going to do everything in my power to help you get there. And ideally, both of us becoming that person is aligned with the same actions.
I had this insight from George Mack's birthday last year in Miami.
I haven't met George, and I feel like you and I would get along.
Well, he lives in Austin now, so come through. I know you never travel, so that's a hollow offer that I never actually need to cash in on. A friend was recently asked who his best friend is. He said he wasn't sure. It's a bit of a rare question after age 12. So the question was asked differently. Who do you have the least amount of filter with when you're around them? Another good question is, who can you sit in silence with and not have to fill it? Even if there isn't a single person that wins, these are the people who you should prioritize spending your time with. We all feel the compulsion to change ourselves to fit in. We adjust our behavior, words, nature, everything in an attempt to be liked, validated, and accepted. The more people who make it feel safe for you to truly be yourself around them, the more confidence you'll have to be that person every day. And I feel like that's a correlate to your partner should be someone that helps you become more of you, not dilute.
They should be salt.
To bring out the flavor.
Yeah. Obviously, analogies have limits.
Wife.
Yeah, analogies have limits, but like, salt, more of you. And so you brought up authenticity, as I define it from a behavior perspective, is how you behave if you have no risk of punishment. And so what would you do if you could not get punished? And if you behave that way in front of them, then it means that either they do not punish you or they have no desire to punish you. Either way, it accomplishes the same thing, which is that you behave as though they weren't there.